She was the object of their affection. As the eldest child, the first 5 years of her life were spent in a whirlwind of unfaltering attention from her parents. The trio took fantastic adventures to Fall Creek Falls, Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountains, and so on at the drop of a hat. The family managed to form what seemed to be unbreakable bonds. At least, to her they did. She grew used to their quiet household and not having to share. She liked everything to herself and couldn't picture anything possibly going wrong. That is, until her mother announced that she would be having a second child. Now, you're probably assuming that she was angry about welcoming the sibling into her life, but that's not it at all. She looked forward to the idea. She liked having her parents to herself, but didn't enjoy being lonely when they were busy. The girl slowly became excited to have another kid in the house to play with. Her mom's stomach grew larger and larger along with the girl's anticipation. She started school in the fall at Indian Lake, and just a few months later, her sister was born on Halloween, just a week after Sarah's birthday. Cindy, as she was soon named, was great at first, but to the 6-year-old Sarah, the honeymoon phase was short-lived. If it wasn't for the long, sleepless nights of her sister's uncontrollable wailing, it was the realization that her parents had to give the baby so much attention. They still carved days and activities just for Sarah and them, but to her, it wasn't enough. She missed the time before her sister. As the months progressed, she pushed her frustration away about the situation. Pangs of anger here and there, but for the most part, she got over it. Her family ventured all over Hendersonville, enjoying their new addition. Everything seemed back to normal as Sarah grew to love Cindy. Flash forward 3 years into October. Sarah begged for a dog. Her birthday was 3 days away, and she had taken up the hobby of putting photos of dogs on every Halloween decoration scattered about her house. She wanted her parents to take the hint. Regardless, they weren't budging on their continual denial of her wish. Come on, guys, please. This is all I want. You don't even have to give me a Christmas present. You can just combine them. Just a pup, please, she pleaded and pleaded until she couldn't any longer. Her parents continued to shake their heads and went back to their adoration of Cindy's coloring. The past 3 years had reinstated the original anger Sarah had when it came to her sister. The little things got to her, like when she wanted the last popsicle or the first of the Saturday morning pancakes, but they were given to Cindy. She was beginning to despise her once again. Sarah's birthday arrived after a much drawn-out 3 days. She woke up to waffles, presents, the whole 9 yards. She ran outside to the back in the hopes that she would hear the bark of a dog, but to her dismay, there was nothing. She didn't enjoy a second of the day due to the preliminary disappointment, and her parents just seemed to grow angrier with her ungratefulness. The day ended with her blowing out the 9 candles and wishing for the much sought-after dog. The next day's breakfast consisted of a surprising statement from Cindy.
I want a dog,
she shouted, spitting eggs onto everyone at the table. Sarah looked up from her disappointed state, shocked. We'll see what we can do. Your birthday is just a week away, as is Halloween, her mother stated with a grin. She couldn't stand it. Her sister managed to convince them at least to consider the idea. She was mad, more than mad. Sarah was furious. Sarah's Halloween morning began with a bark, then a squeal of laughter and another bark. Sleepy-eyed, she stumbled into her sister's room to find the whole family gathered around the new pup. Sydney was clapping from her bed while her parents patted the dog. They didn't notice she was there until she let out a weak, "Good morning." A tag swung from the dog's neck reading, "Your very own dog. Happy birthday, Cindy." Sarah fumed. Cindy, she thought, Cindy's dog. Sarah spent the rest of the day in her room sulking until it was time to trick or treat. She was ready to get twice as much candy as she had the previous year. Her parents asked her to keep an eye on her sister and the pup while they finished up some paperwork in the next room. Don't let her down the basement steps, they warned, just as they always had. They're so steep, and it's so dark down there. Sarah, intrigued by putting on makeup to go with her costume, didn't notice as the dog ran into the basement and Cindy started to follow. Sarah glanced at the right moment and ran after her. The pair made it to the top of the steps, and Sarah grabbed Cindy to keep her from going any further.
I've got to get my pup,
wailed Cindy, struggling in an attempt to get away. But you can't. Mom and Dad said you couldn't. You'll get hurt, Sarah countered, trying to hold on to the squirming kid. Cindy sneered at Sarah and stated,
Makes sense. They wouldn't care about you getting hurt.
With that comment, Sarah couldn't hold back her anger anymore, and with one swift shove, her sister was sent flailing into the darkness. She immediately knew it was wrong and burst into a fit of tears and started frantically shouting her sister's name over and over. But Cindy did not respond. Her parents came running, but she knew what they would think if she told the truth, so she lied. She claimed that her sister tripped on the top step right before she had gotten there. Her parents were in such shock that the answer seemed to suffice. Cindy died on October 31st. Just days after, Sarah's family, still dealing with the shock, found out that they were expecting yet another child. As the months progressed, the pain slowly lessened, and soon they had a healthy baby girl. Sarah no longer struggled with the feeling of animosity toward her new sister, and everything went smoothly. 5 years after, Halloween came about yet again. Sarah and her sister, named Jane, were preparing for trick-or-treating as usual. Sarah was 14 while Jane was 5, and the duo were best friends. An awesome night together, what could be better? While Sarah finished her makeup, she was told to keep an eye on her sister. At that time, Jane was transfixed by a new bouncy ball. She played with it everywhere until it rolled to the basement doorway and bounced down the steps. She started down the stairs and made it to the bottom before Sarah caught up behind her. She didn't get any further. The two started laughing and were having a great time making their way back up the stairs. But when they reached the top step, Jane's face went blank and her body quickly tensed. She looked at Sarah directly with empty eyes and asked,
Are you gonna push me again?